I'm Sadie Washington. On Thanksgiving last year, right in the middle of a family meal, my daughter-in-law, Monique, took a whole hot pumpkin pie and threw it straight at the wedding photo of me and my late husband hanging on the wall. Orange sauce ran down his face, down to the best tie he wore on his wedding day. Monique shouted, "Stingy, selfish old woman." My son Reggie stood there, looking at his insulted mother, then said something that made my heart stop. "Mom, don't call me baby anymore. I don't cry easily." I just smiled, slowly wiped the sauce off the photo frame with the sleeve of my sweater, then stepped out onto the porch, the cold Chicago wind hitting my face. I called my brother, Pastor Leonard Washington. "Lenny, they just threw a cake in your brother-in-law's face. Activate the plan." 6 months later, Monique's white Lexus was towed right in front of my door while she screamed in the middle of the street. Clarence and Evelyn stood frozen as the TV broadcast the news. Buckhead couple accused of defrauding millions of dollars. Reggie knelt in the rain on my front porch, his shirt soaked, sobbing like a child. I opened the brightly lit community center doors, and dozens of single mothers and their children clapped. Reggie and I sat eating red beans and rice at the same old table, holding hands tightly, both of us crying and laughing at the same time. But let me take you back to the beginning. Have you ever been kicked out of the house you built by your own blood? Don't go anywhere. I'll tell you from the beginning, from the day I thought was the day of reunion, but it turned out to be the day I lost my child, and also the day I found him again. It was Thanksgiving morning, 2024. I woke up at 5:30, like I always do, in my old brown brick house on the corner of 43rd and King Drive, right in the heart of Ida B. Wells' Bronzeville, Chicago. This house has been mine for 38 years. My husband, Marcus Washington, bought it with his own 2 hands, working double shifts at the steel mill, coming home with grease under his nails and pride in his eyes. We raised Reggie here, we loved here. Marcus died here, in my arms, 7 years ago. And every brick, every crack in the foundation, every creaky step on that porch, it all holds his memory. I spent all morning cooking. Cornbread dressing, collard greens with smoked turkey, candied yams, mac and cheese baked until the top turned golden brown, and a pumpkin pie cooling on the windowsill. The kitchen smelled like heaven. I set the table with the good plates, the ones with the gold trim that Marcus gave me on our 20th anniversary. I was so excited. Reggie was bringing his wife, Monique, and her parents, Clarence and Evelyn, for Thanksgiving dinner. It had been months since I'd seen my son. He'd been distant, always busy, always on his phone whenever I called. But today, I thought, today we'll sit together like family again. They arrived at 2 in the afternoon. Reggie pulled up in a brand new black Cadillac Escalade, shiny as a mirror. Monique stepped out wearing a cream-colored designer coat, her heels clicking on the sidewalk like a countdown. Clarence and Evelyn followed, both dressed like they were heading to a country club, not a grandmother's Thanksgiving table. I opened the door wide, arms open, smile bigger than the sky. "Baby! Oh, my baby! Come here!" Reggie gave me a stiff hug, barely touching me, and pulled away fast. Monique walked past me without a word, her eyes scanning my living room like she was inspecting a crime scene. Clarence shook my hand with 2 fingers, like I had a disease. Evelyn smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Sadie, darling, thank you so much for having us," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. We sat down to eat. I said grace, thanking the Lord for family, for health, for this meal. But when I opened my eyes, Monique was texting. Clarence was looking at the ceiling like he was counting water stains. Evelyn was sipping her wine like she was at a funeral. Only Reggie was quiet, staring at his plate. I passed the cornbread. Monique wrinkled her nose. "Is this homemade?" "I'm gluten sensitive now." I smiled. "Oh, baby, I didn't know. I can make you a salad if you want." She rolled her eyes. Clarence cleared his throat, loud and deliberate. "Sadie, we actually wanted to talk to you about something important." I put down my fork. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Evelyn leaned forward, her rings catching the light. "Well, Sadie, we've been discussing it as a family, and we think it's time for you to consider downsizing." I blinked. "Downsizing?" Monique jumped in, her voice sharp. "This house is old, Sadie. It's falling apart. The neighborhood isn't what it used to be. Reggie's embarrassed to even bring clients here." I looked at my son. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Reggie?" I said softly. He shifted in his seat, cleared his throat. "Mom, they're right. This place is like a tent. It's not safe. You're 65 years old. You shouldn't be living here alone." A tent. My husband's house. The house where I rocked Reggie to sleep every night. The house where we celebrated every birthday, every Christmas, every victory. A tent. Clarence smiled like a snake. "We're thinking, Sadie, you could move into the basement. We'll fix it up nice for you. Meanwhile, Monique and Reggie can renovate upstairs, modernize the place, and eventually, we can all move into something bigger, maybe out in Buckhead." Evelyn nodded eagerly. "It's a win-win, really. You'll still have a roof over your head and we'll all be together." Monique added, "Plus, honestly, Sadie, this house is wasting potential. Do you know what this block could be worth if it was updated?" I sat there, the words sinking in like stones. They wanted my house. They wanted to push me into a moldy basement, take over my home, erase Marcus, erase me, and flip it for profit. And my son, my only child, sat there silent, nodding along like a puppet. I looked at Reggie one more time. "Baby, is this what you want?" He finally looked at me, and his eyes were cold. "Mom, stop calling me baby. I'm 42 years old, and yes, this is what I want. It's time for you to let go." Something inside me went quiet. Not broken, just quiet. I stood up slowly, folded my napkin, and placed it on the table. "Excuse me for a moment." I walked out onto the porch. The November air was sharp, biting at my cheeks. I pulled out my phone and called my younger brother, Pastor Leonard Washington. He answered on the first ring. "Zadie?" I kept my voice low, steady. "Lenny, they just threw a cake in your brother-in-law's face." There was a pause. Then his voice came back, calm and firm. "Say the word, sis." I looked back through the window at my son, laughing now with Monique, like they'd already won. I took a deep breath. Activate the plan. Consider it done. I hung up, slipped the phone back into my pocket, and walked back inside. Monique was cutting herself a slice of pumpkin pie. I sat down, smiled, and said, "Y'all enjoy the rest of your meal. I'm going to go lie down for a bit." Reggie didn't even look up. As I walked toward my bedroom, I heard Monique whisper to Evelyn, "She'll come around. Old people always do." I closed my door, and I prayed. Not for revenge. For clarity. For my son to wake up before it was too late. But if he didn't, well, the Lord had already given me and Lenny a plan months ago. And in 48 hours, everything was about to collapse. I went back inside. They were still eating, laughing, making plans like my house was already theirs. Monique was showing Evelyn pictures on her phone, pointing at paint colors, talking about knocking down walls. Clarence was measuring the living room with his eyes, nodding like an architect. Reggie sat there, quiet, chewing his food like a man who'd already made his peace with betrayal. I sat back down at the table, folded my hands, and smiled. "So, when were you all planning to move in?" Monique's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Oh, Mom, thank you. I was thinking maybe next week. We'll get movers, and you can take your time packing up the basement." Evelyn clapped her hands together. "This is going to be wonderful. We'll freshen up the place, maybe add some modern touches. You know, make it livable." Clarence raised his glass. "To family, and to new beginnings." Reggie clinked his glass against theirs. I just smiled, and I waited, because I knew Lenny, and I knew God doesn't sleep. The next morning, Friday, I woke up to the sound of a truck engine rumbling outside. I looked out the window and saw a tow truck backing up to Monique's white Lexus, parked right in front of my house. Two men in yellow vests hooked it up like they were hauling away a stolen car. I heard Monique scream from upstairs. "What the hell is going on?" She ran outside in her silk robe, hair wrapped, barefoot on the cold concrete. "Excuse me, that's my car. You can't just take my car." The driver handed her a clipboard. "Ma'am, this vehicle has 6 months of unpaid financing. The bank repossessed it. You need to call them." Monique's face went pale. "That's impossible. Reggie pays that bill every month." The driver shrugged. "Not according to Chase Auto." "Have a good day, ma'am." And just like that, they towed her Lexus down King Drive while the whole block watched. Monique stood there, shaking, her phone pressed to her ear. Reggie, wake up. They took my car." I stayed at the window, sipping my coffee, quiet as a church mouse. An hour later, Reggie came downstairs, his phone glued to his ear, panic all over his face. "What do you mean my account is frozen? I have $73,000 in that account." He paced back and forth, his voice rising. "Identity theft? How is that even possible? I need to speak to a manager. Now." Clarence came down next, his face tight, his phone buzzing nonstop. He answered, listened for 10 seconds. Then his whole body went stiff. "What do you mean the feds are asking questions? We didn't do anything wrong." Evelyn rushed to his side. "Clarence, what's happening?" He grabbed his coat, his hands shaking. "We need to go. Now." Monique looked at them, confused. "What's going on?" Clarence didn't answer. He just grabbed Evelyn's arm and rushed out the door. I heard their car screech away. Reggie stood in the middle of my living room, staring at his phone like it had just exploded in his hand. Monique turned to him, her voice sharp as glass. "Reggie, what is happening?" He didn't answer. He just sat down on the couch, his head in his hands. I walked into the kitchen, turned on the stove, and started making breakfast. Scrambled eggs, turkey sausage, toast with butter. The smell filled the house. Reggie finally looked up at me. "Mom, did you know about this?" I cracked another egg into the pan. "Know about what, baby?" "Don't play dumb, Mom. My account is frozen. Monique's car is gone. Clarence and Evelyn just ran out of here like the police were coming." I turned the heat down, nice and slow. "Reggie, I don't know anything about your money. I'm just an old woman living in a tent, remember?" His face flushed red. Monique stepped forward, her voice rising. "This is your fault, isn't it? You did something." I turned to face her, calm as Sunday morning. "Monique, I'm 65 years old. I don't even know how to use a computer. How could I do anything?" She pointed a finger at me, shaking. "You called someone. I know you did." I smiled. "I called my brother. To tell him about Thanksgiving dinner. Is that a crime?" Before she could respond, Reggie's phone buzzed again. He answered, listened, and his face went white. "The business account too? All of it?" He hung up, stood up, and looked at me with something I hadn't seen in years. Fear. "Mom, please, if you know something, tell me. I'm drowning here." I plated the eggs, set them on the table, and sat down. "Reggie, I don't know what's happening to you, but I do know this. When you build your life on lies, on shortcuts, on using people, eventually it all falls down." Monique exploded. "Oh, so now you're a prophet? You self-righteous, bitter old woman." I didn't flinch. Reggie grabbed Monique's arm. "Monique, stop." But she yanked away from him, stormed into the dining room, grabbed the pumpkin pie still sitting on the counter from yesterday, and before I could move, she hurled it straight at the wall. It hit Marcus's wedding photo dead center. Orange filling dripped down his face, covering his smile, his tie, his eyes. The room went silent. I stood up slowly, walked over to the photo, and wiped the pie off the glass with the sleeve of my sweater. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't break. I just looked at Monique and said, "Get out of my house." She laughed, sharp and cruel. "Your house? This is about to be our house, old lady." I turned to Reggie. "Get her out. Now." Reggie stood there, frozen, torn between his mother and his wife. And then he made his choice. He took Monique's hand. "Mom, we're leaving, but we'll be back. And when we come back, we're moving in, whether you like it or not." I didn't say a word. I just watched them walk out the door. And when the door closed, I sat down at the table, alone, and I wept. Not because I was hurt, but because I knew what was coming, and I knew my son wasn't ready. By Saturday evening, it was all over the news. Buckhead couple accused of defrauding millions in fake investment scheme. Clarence and Evelyn's faces were plastered on every channel. Investors coming forward, crying, holding up paperwork, talking about lost retirement funds, lost homes, lost futures. The feds had been building a case for months. And Lenny, my baby brother, the pastor with a law degree and connections all over Chicago, had made one phone call to the right person at the right time. Not to create the charges, but to make sure they finally moved forward. Clarence and Evelyn were arrested Sunday morning. Their Buckhead mansion was foreclosed on by Monday. Monique's boutique, funded entirely by her parents' dirty money, was seized by the IRS on Tuesday. Reggie's accounts, tied up in joint ventures with Clarence, were frozen pending investigation. Everything they built on lies came crashing down in 72 hours. And I sat in my house, the house they called a tent, and I prayed. Not for their destruction, but for their redemption. Because sometimes you have to lose everything to find out who you really are. 3 days later, Monique showed up at my door, alone, her eyes red and swollen. She didn't say a word. She just looked at me, and I saw it. The anger, the blame. She thought I destroyed her life. And maybe, in a way, I did. But I didn't create the lies. I just turned on the light. Monique stood at my door 3 days after the arrests, her designer clothes replaced with jeans and a wrinkled sweater. Her eyes were red, her face hollow. She didn't knock. She just stood there, staring at me through the screen door. I opened it slowly. Monique. She didn't say hello. She didn't apologize. She just said, "You destroyed us." I stepped aside. "Come in." She walked past me, her steps heavy, and sat down at the same dining table where just days ago she'd planned to take over my home. I poured her a cup of tea. She didn't touch it. My parents are in jail. Our house is gone. My store is gone. Reggie's broke. And it's all because of you. I sat across from her, my hands wrapped around my own cup. Monique, I didn't put your parents in jail. They did that themselves. I didn't take your store. The IRS did. I didn't break Reggie. He broke himself when he chose money over his mother. Her jaw clenched. You called your brother. You made all of this happen. I nodded. I did call my brother. And he made sure the truth came to light. But the lies, Monique? Those were already there. She slammed her hand on the table. You're a vindictive old woman who couldn't stand to see her son happy. I didn't raise my voice. I just looked at her, calm and steady. Monique? Was he happy? Really? Was he happy lying to himself? Pretending his mother's house was an embarrassment? Turning his back on the woman who raised him, so he could impress people who were robbing families blind? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. I leaned forward. You want to blame me? Go ahead. But when you go to bed tonight, ask yourself this. Did I make your parents steal? Did I make you throw a pie at my dead husband's face? Did I make Reggie call this house a tent? Tears streamed down her cheeks. She stood up, her chair scraping the floor. I hate you. I stood too. I know, but one day, you'll understand. And when you do, my door will still be here. She walked out without another word, and I let her go. The weeks that followed were quiet. Too quiet. Reggie didn't call. Didn't text. Didn't come by. I heard through Lenny that he'd moved into a small apartment on the south side, working a sales job at a car dealership, trying to rebuild. Monique filed for divorce in January. Clarence and Evelyn were sentenced to 8 years each in federal prison. Their victims, over 200 families, were still trying to recover what they'd lost. And me? I stayed in my house. But I didn't stay the same. One Sunday morning, Lenny came by after church with a folder full of papers. He sat at my kitchen table, opened it up, and smiled. Sadie, you remember the Washington Family Legacy Trust? I nodded. The one Marcus set up before he died. Lenny tapped the papers. $22 million. Investments, real estate, savings, all sitting there, waiting. Marcus wanted it used for something that mattered, something that would help people. I looked at the numbers, my husband's careful handwriting in the margins of old documents. He'd been planning this for years. Saving, investing, building something that would last long after he was gone. What are you thinking, Lenny? He leaned back in his chair. I'm thinking this house, this corner, this neighborhood, it needs something. Not a mansion, not a business, but a place where people can come when they've got nowhere else to go. I smiled. A community center. He nodded. Big Sadie's House of Grace. And that's exactly what we did. By March, the house was transformed. The living room became a meeting space for single mothers, with donated couches, toys for kids, and a bookshelf full of resources. The dining room became a food pantry and a place for free meals every Tuesday and Thursday. The basement, the one they wanted to shove me into, became a computer lab where people could learn job skills, write resumes, and search for work. We kept the upstairs bedrooms, but opened 2 of them for emergency housing, women fleeing abuse, mothers with nowhere to turn. And my bedroom, Marcus's and mine, I kept it the same, just in case. The neighborhood came alive. Mothers brought their children. Teenagers came to do homework. Elders stopped by for coffee and conversation. The house that Monique called old and embarrassing became a beacon of hope on 43rd and King Drive. But Reggie still didn't come. 6 months passed. It was a rainy night in May, the kind of rain that soaks you to the bone in seconds. I was in the kitchen, stirring a pot of red beans and rice, the smell filling the house just like it used to when Marcus was alive. The front door was open, the screen door letting in the cool breeze. I heard footsteps on the porch. Slow, heavy, hesitant. I looked up, and there he was. Reggie. Soaking wet, his hair plastered to his forehead, his clothes drenched, his eyes red and swollen. He stood there in the doorway, staring at me like a man who'd been lost in the wilderness for years. And then he dropped to his knees, right there on my porch. And he sobbed. Not quiet tears. Deep, gut-wrenching sobs that shook his whole body. Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I put down my spoon, wiped my hands on my apron, and walked to the door. I pushed open the screen and stepped out into the rain. I knelt down in front of him, the water soaking through my dress, and I took his face in my hands. Baby. My baby. He collapsed into my arms, crying like a child. I was so stupid, Mom. I was so greedy. I hurt you. I disrespected you. I disrespected Dad. I don't deserve to be here. I held him tight, rocking him back and forth. Reggie, you're my son. You'll always be my son. He pulled back, looking at me with broken eyes. But I called your house a tent. I let them treat you like garbage. I chose them over you. I wiped his tears with my thumb. And you learned. That's what matters. You learned. He shook his head. I lost everything. Mom, the money, the car, the marriage, everything. I smiled softly. No, baby. You didn't lose everything. You lost the things that didn't matter. And now, you can find the things that do. I stood up, took his hand, and pulled him to his feet. Come inside. You're soaking wet. He hesitated. Mom, I don't deserve to come inside. I squeezed his hand. Reggie Washington, this is your home. It always has been, and it always will be. I led him into the house, past the single mothers chatting in the living room, past the children playing with blocks, past the volunteers organizing donations. He looked around, his eyes wide. Mom, what is all this? I smiled. This is Big Sadie's House of Grace. Your father's dream, my dream. A place where people can come when they need help. He stopped in the middle of the room, tears streaming down his face again. You turned our house into this? I nodded. I did. But I kept one room the same. I led him upstairs, down the hallway, and opened the door to his old bedroom. It was exactly as he'd left it. His bed, his posters, his trophies from high school. Everything. I've been waiting for you, baby. Waiting for the day you'd come home. Not as the man you were trying to be, but as the man you really are. He broke down again, covering his face with his hands. I wrapped my arms around him. Come on, Let's eat." We went back downstairs to the kitchen, and I fixed him a plate of red beans and rice, cornbread on the side, just like I used to when he was a boy. We sat at the same oak table Marcus built, and we ate in silence for a while. Then Reggie looked up at me, his voice quiet. "Mom, how do I fix this? How do I become the man you and Dad raised me to be?" I reached across the table and took his hand. "One day at a time, baby. One choice at a time. Money comes and goes. Houses come and go. But character? That's what brings you through this door. That's what makes you a man." He squeezed my hand, tears falling into his plate. "I love you, Mom." I squeezed back. "I love you too, baby. Welcome home." And for the first time in 6 months, my house felt whole again. That night, after Reggie came home, we sat at the kitchen table for hours. Just talking. Not about money. Not about Monique or her parents or the mess he'd made. Just about life. About Marcus. About the man Reggie used to be before the world told him he wasn't enough. He told me everything. How Monique made him feel small whenever they visited my neighborhood. How her parents constantly compared him to other men, richer men, men with bigger houses and fancier jobs. How he started lying about where he came from, ashamed of Bronzeville, ashamed of this house, ashamed of me. I thought if I just made enough money, if I just got the right car, the right address, they'd finally respect me. But it was never enough, Mom. It was never enough. I listened, my hand resting on his. "Baby, you can't buy respect. You can only earn it. And you earn it by being a man of character, not a man of cash." He nodded, wiping his eyes. "I know that now. I just wish I'd known it before I lost everything." I squeezed his hand. "You didn't lose everything, Reggie. You're sitting here with me. That's not nothing." He smiled, small and tired. "How did you do it, Mom? How did you stay so strong after Dad died, after I abandoned you?" I thought about that for a moment. "Your father taught me something a long time ago," he said. "Sadie, people will try to take everything from you, your house, your dignity, your peace. But they can't take who you are unless you let them. So I decided a long time ago, I'm not letting anybody take who I am." Reggie looked down at his plate, his voice breaking. "I let them take who I was." I shook my head. "No, baby, you lost your way, but you didn't lose yourself. You're still here, you're still my son, and that means you still have time to become the man you were meant to be." He looked up at me, hope flickering in his eyes. "Do you really believe that?" I smiled. "I know that." Over the next few weeks, Reggie started volunteering at Big Sadie's House of Grace. At first, he was hesitant, unsure of what to do. But slowly, he found his place. He started teaching a financial literacy class for single mothers, helping them budget, save, and plan for the future. He helped repair broken furniture, fix leaky faucets, paint walls. He played with the kids, read them stories, taught them how to shoot a basketball in the little court we set up out back. And every Tuesday and Thursday, he served food alongside me, handing out plates of red beans and rice, cornbread, greens, and love. The women loved him. The kids adored him. And slowly, I watched my son come back to life. Not as the man he was trying to be, but as the man he always was underneath. One afternoon, a young woman named Tasha came to the center with her 2 little girls. She was fleeing an abusive relationship, had nowhere to go, and was terrified. Reggie sat with her for 2 hours, just listening, just being present. He helped her fill out paperwork for emergency housing, connected her with a lawyer Lenny knew, and made sure her daughters had toys and snacks. When Tasha left that day, she hugged him tight and whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." Reggie came into the kitchen afterward, his eyes red. "Mom, I never knew how many people were hurting. I was so busy chasing money, I didn't even see them." I put my arm around him. "Now you see them, baby. And that's what matters." 3 months after Reggie came home, Monique showed up again. This time, she looked different. No designer clothes. No attitude. Just exhausted. She knocked on the door, and I opened it. "Sadie, can I talk to you?" I stepped aside. "Come in." She walked into the living room, saw the center buzzing with life, and stopped. "This is incredible." I nodded. "It's what the house was always meant to be." She turned to me, tears in her eyes. "I came to apologize. For everything. For the way I treated you. For the pie. For trying to take your home. I was horrible." I gestured to the couch. "Sit." She sat down, and I sat across from her. "Monique, I forgive you." She looked up, shocked. "Just like that?" I nodded. "Just like that. Holding on to anger doesn't hurt you. It hurts me, and I don't have room in my heart for that anymore." She broke down, sobbing into her hands. "My parents are in prison. I lost everything. I'm working at a grocery store just to pay rent. And Reggie, he's here with you, doing good, and I'm just drowning." I reached over and took her hand. "Monique, you're not drowning. You're learning to swim. And that's hard. But it's necessary." She wiped her eyes. "I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a good person." I smiled gently. "Start small. Be honest. Be kind. Help someone when you can. That's it." She nodded, still crying. "Can I help here? At the center?" "I don't have much to offer, but I can try." I looked at her for a long moment. "Yes, you can help. But not because you owe me, because you want to change." She nodded quickly. "I do. I really do." And she did. Monique started coming to the center twice a week, helping with the food pantry, organizing donations, playing with the kids. She and Reggie didn't get back together. That ship had sailed. But they found something better. Respect. One evening, as the sun set over Bronzeville, I stood on the porch with Lenny. The center was full of laughter, children running, mothers talking, volunteers cleaning up. Lenny put his arm around me. "You did it, Sadie. You turned pain into purpose." I looked at the house Marcus and I bought 47 years ago for $18,000. The house they called a tent. The house that was now saving lives. "We did it, Lenny. You, me, Marcus. We did it together." He smiled. "Marcus would be so proud of you." I looked up at the sky, the stars just starting to appear. "I hope so." Inside, Reggie was reading a book to a little boy who reminded me so much of him at that age. Monique was laughing with Tasha, helping her fold clothes. And me? I was finally at peace. Because I realized something that Thanksgiving night when they tried to take my home. You can't steal what's built on love. You can't destroy what's rooted in faith. And you can't break a woman who knows who she is. I walked back inside, the warmth of the house wrapping around me like a hug. Reggie looked up and smiled. "Mom, you okay?" I nodded. "I'm more than okay, baby. I'm home." And for the first time in a long time, we all were. A year later, on Thanksgiving, the center hosted a big community dinner. Over 200 people came. Families from all over Bronzeville, people who'd been helped by the center, volunteers, neighbors, friends. Reggie cooked the turkey. Monique made the mac and cheese. Lenny led the prayer. And I sat at the head of the table, surrounded by the people I loved, the people I'd helped, the people who'd become my family. Before we ate, I stood up, my voice strong. "I want to say something. A year ago, I almost lost this house. People I loved tried to take it from me, tried to push me out, tried to make me feel small, but God had a different plan. He took my pain and turned it into purpose. He took my hurt and turned it into healing. And now, this house, this corner, this community, it's not just mine anymore. It's ours." Everyone clapped, and I felt tears streaming down my face. So today, I'm thankful. Not for what I kept, but for what I gave away. Because that's what love does. It doesn't hoard, it shares, it builds, it heals. Reggie stood up, walked over, and hugged me tight. "I love you, Mom." I held him close. "I love you too, baby." And as we sat down to eat, I looked around the room, at all the faces, all the stories, all the second chances. And I whispered a prayer. "Thank you, Marcus. Thank you for teaching me that a house is not just walls and wood. It's love. It's sacrifice. it's grace. And as long as I'm here, this house will stand." The room erupted in laughter and conversation, plates being passed, stories being shared. And I smiled, because I knew deep in my soul that this was what my husband had dreamed of all along. Not a mansion, not a monument, but a home. A place where broken people could come and be made whole. Where the lost could be found. Where love always, always wins. 2 years have passed since that Thanksgiving. 2 full years since the pie hit Marcus's face, since the cars were towed, since my son chose money over his mother. And now, I'm standing in the main hall of Big Sadie's House of Grace, watching 50 children run around in Halloween costumes. Superheroes, princesses, dinosaurs, all of them laughing, all of them safe. Their mothers sit in folding chairs along the wall, some of them crying happy tears, because this is the first Halloween their kids have felt like kids in years. Reggie is in the corner, dressed as a giant pumpkin, making balloon animals and telling terrible jokes. The kids love him. Monique is at the snack table, handing out juice boxes and cookies, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, no makeup, just a genuine smile. She's been sober for 18 months now. After the divorce, after losing everything, she hit rock bottom, hard. But she clawed her way back, one day at a time, one choice at a time. And now, she's studying to be a social worker. Wants to help women like her, women who got lost in the pursuit of things that don't matter. Lenny walks up beside me, hands in his pockets, grinning. "You see what you built here, Sadie?" I shake my head. "I didn't build this, Lenny. God did. I just opened the door." He laughs. "Well, you opened it wide." I look around the room, at all the lives that have been changed, all the families that have been restored. Tasha, the young woman who came here 2 years ago with nothing, now has her own apartment, a good job, and custody of her daughters. She volunteers here every weekend. Miss Clara, an 82-year-old widow who was about to be evicted, now lives in one of our upstairs rooms and teaches the kids how to bake sweet potato pie. Jerome, a young man who was on the edge of joining a gang, now works here part-time and is taking classes at community college. This house, this old brown brick house on the corner of 43rd and King Drive, it's alive. It breathes. It heals. It gives second chances to people the world threw away. And every single day, I thank God for letting me be a part of it. After the Halloween party winds down, after the kids go home and the volunteers clean up, I sit on the porch with Reggie. Just the two of us, rocking chairs creaking, the cool autumn air settling in. He's quiet for a long time, just staring out at the street. Finally, he speaks. "Mom, I need to tell you something." I look over at him. "What is it, baby?" He takes a deep breath. "I got a job offer, a good one. Sales manager at a company downtown, 6-figure salary, benefits, the whole thing." I smile. "That's wonderful, Reggie. You've worked hard for it." He nods, but his face is troubled. "But there's a catch. They want me to relocate. To Atlanta." My heart sinks, but I keep my face steady. "Atlanta?" He nods. "It's a great opportunity, Mom. Life-changing. But it would mean leaving Chicago, leaving you, leaving the center." I reach over and take his hand. "Reggie, you're a grown man. You have to make the choice that's best for you." He looks at me, his eyes filled with pain. "But I just got you back, Mom. I just got my life back. I don't want to lose it again." I squeeze his hand. "Baby, listen to me. You won't lose it. Because it's not about where you are. It's about who you are. You could go to Atlanta, or California, or the moon, and you'd still be my son. You'd still be the man you've become." He shakes his head. "But what if I go back to who I was? What if I get caught up in the money again, the status, the lies?" I turn to face him fully. "Then you remember this moment. You remember this porch. You remember red beans and rice at a kitchen table. You remember that the best version of yourself isn't the one with the biggest bank account. It's the one with the cleanest heart." He wipes his eyes. "I don't know what to do, Mom." I smile. "Yes, you do. You're just scared to do it, and that's okay. Fear means it matters. He sits there for a long moment, thinking. Then he looks at me. What would Dad say? I laugh softly. Your father would say, boy, if you got a chance to build a good life and help people while you're doing it, you take it. But you never forget where you came from. And you never forget who carried you when you couldn't walk. Reggie nods slowly. He'd want me to go. I nod. He would, and so do I. He breaks down then, crying like he did that rainy night 2 years ago. I don't want to leave you, Mom. I pull him close. Baby, you're not leaving me. You're stepping into the man you were meant to be, and I'm so proud of you. I could burst. We sit there, holding each other, rocking gently in the chairs Marcus built 40 years ago. 3 weeks later, I stand in the driveway, watching Reggie load boxes into a U-Haul truck. The whole neighborhood has come out to say goodbye. Tasha and her girls bring him homemade cookies. Jerome gives him a handshake and a hug. Miss Clara cries like he's her own grandson. Monique stands off to the side, watching quietly. When it's time, she walks up to him. Reggie. He turns. Monique. She takes a deep breath. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything, and I'm proud of you. You became a better man than I deserved. He smiles, sad but genuine. You became a better woman too, Monique. Keep going. You're doing great. She nods, tears streaming down her face, and walks away. Finally, it's just me and Reggie. He looks at the house, at the sign, at the porch, at me. Mom, I don't know how to say goodbye. I smile. Then don't. Just say see you later. He laughs through his tears. See you later, Mom. I hug him tight. See you later, baby. And remember, this door is always open. Always. He pulls back, looks me in the eyes. I love you, Mom. I cup his face in my hands. I love you too, baby. Now go. Go build a life that makes your father proud. He climbs into the truck, starts the engine, and slowly drives away. I stand there, waving, until the truck disappears around the corner. And then I'm alone on the porch. But I don't feel alone. Because Marcus is here. Lenny is here. The community is here. And Reggie, even though he's gone, he's here too. In the lessons he learned. In the lives he touched. In the man he became. I walk back into the house, past the wedding photo, now spotless and shining in the light. I stop. Look at Marcus's face, and whisper, we did it, honey. We raised a good man. And I swear, I can feel him smile. That night, as I sit in the kitchen eating leftover red beans and rice, my phone rings. It's Reggie. Mom, I made it to my new apartment. It's small, but it's nice. I smile. Good, baby. You settled in? He pauses. Not yet. I wanted to call you first. To tell you thank you for never giving up on me, for showing me what real strength looks like, for teaching me that character is the only thing that matters. My eyes fill with tears. You're welcome, baby. Now go live your life. And call me every Sunday. He laughs. I will, Mom. Every Sunday. I promise. We hang up, and I sit there in the quiet, the house settling around me. And I realize something. This story isn't about revenge. It's not about money. It's not even about the house. It's about love. The kind of love that doesn't quit. The kind of love that waits. The kind of love that rebuilds what's broken and makes it beautiful again. And that kind of love always wins. I stand up, turn off the lights, and head to bed. Tomorrow, there will be more mothers to help, more children to feed, more lives to change. But tonight, I rest. Because I know, deep in my soul, that everything I've been through, every tear, every heartbreak, every moment of pain, it was all worth it. Because it led me here. To this house, to this purpose, to this life. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. If you've ever been betrayed by the people you love most, if you've ever had to choose between bitterness and grace, if you've ever wondered if doing the right thing is worth it, let me tell you something. It is. It always is. Because money comes and goes. Houses come and go. But character? Character is forever. And that's what will bring you home. 5 years have passed since that rainy night. 5 years since Reggie knelt on my porch, broken and soaking wet, asking only to wipe his father's photo clean. 5 years since I held my son in the rain and told him it was okay to come home. And now, I'm standing in the backyard of Big Sadie's house of grace, watching my son marry the woman who saved his life. Her name is Angela. She's a nurse at Cook County Hospital, grew up in Englewood, lost her mother to cancer when she was 16, and raised her 3 younger brothers by herself. She met Reggie at a community health fair we hosted 2 years ago. He was helping set up tables, and she was taking blood pressure readings for free. They started talking, and something just clicked. Not the shallow, flashy kind of love he had with Monique, but the real kind. The kind built on respect, on shared values, on character. The backyard is packed with people. Neighbors from Bronzeville, families from the center, volunteers, friends, all dressed in their Sunday best. Lenny is officiating, his voice booming with joy and authority. Angela's 3 brothers are standing as groomsmen, all of them sharp in matching navy suits. Tasha and her daughters are bridesmaids, their smiles wide and proud. And me? I'm sitting in the front row, wearing the pearls Marcus gave me on our 25th anniversary, crying happy tears. Reggie stands at the altar in a simple gray suit, his hands folded, his face glowing with peace. He's not the man he was 5 years ago. That man was hollow, chasing shadows, trying to fill a void with things that could never satisfy. This man is whole, grounded, full of purpose. Angela walks down the aisle, her dress simple and elegant, her father, an uncle who stepped in when her dad passed, guiding her with pride. When she reaches Reggie, he takes her hands, and I can see his eyes fill with tears. Lenny begins. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Reginald Marcus Washington and Angela Marie Carter, 2 souls who have walked through fire and come out stronger, 2 hearts that have learned what love truly means. He looks at Reggie. Reggie, do you take Angela to be your lawfully wedded wife? To honor her, to cherish her, to walk with her in joy and in struggle, in wealth and in poverty, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live? Reggie's voice is strong and clear. I do. Lenny turns to Angela. Angela, do you take Reggie to be your lawfully wedded husband? To honor him, to cherish him, to walk with him in joy and in struggle, in wealth and in poverty, in sickness and in health, as long as you both shall live? Angela smiles, tears streaming down her face. I do. Lenny grins. Then, by the power vested in me by the state of Illinois and by the grace of Almighty God, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Reggie, you may kiss your bride. Reggie pulls Angela close and kisses her, and the whole backyard erupts in applause and cheers. I stand up, clapping through my tears, my heart so full it feels like it might burst. This is what redemption looks like. This is what grace looks like. This is what love looks like. After the ceremony, we all gather under a big white tent for the reception. Red beans and rice, fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread, sweet potato pie, all made by the women of the center. Music plays, old Motown classics, and people dance and laugh and celebrate. Reggie and Angela make their rounds, thanking everyone, hugging, smiling. When they get to me, Reggie bends down and wraps me in a tight hug. Thank you, Mom. For everything. For never giving up on me. For showing me what real love looks like. I hold his face in my hands. Baby, you did the hard work. You chose to change. You chose to become the man your father and I always knew you could be. I'm so proud of you. Angela hugs me next, her voice soft. Miss Sadie, thank you for raising such a good man, and thank you for welcoming me into this family. I smile, tears flowing freely now. Baby, you were family the moment you loved my son for who he is, not what he has. Welcome home. As the sun sets over Bronzeville, casting golden light over the backyard, I find myself standing alone by the fence, looking out at the neighborhood. This place, this corner of 43rd and King Drive, it's seen so much. Pain and joy, loss and restoration, betrayal and forgiveness. And through it all, this house has stood. Not because the bricks are strong, but because the love inside them is stronger. I feel a presence beside me and turn to see Monique. She's been sober for 4 years now, working as a social worker, helping women escape abusive relationships. She didn't come to the ceremony, but she came to the reception, standing quietly in the back. "Sadie," she says softly. "Monique," I reply. We stand there in silence for a moment. Then she speaks. "I just wanted to say congratulations, and thank you for giving Reggie a second chance, for giving me one too." I turn to face her. "Monique, we all deserve second chances. The question is what we do with them." She nods, tears in her eyes. "I'm trying. Every day I'm trying." I reach out and take her hand. "I know you are, and I'm proud of you." She breaks down, and I pull her into a hug. "You're going to be okay, baby. You're going to make it." She nods against my shoulder, and we stand there, two women who were once enemies, now bound by grace. Later that night, after the guests have left and the tent has been taken down, I sit on the porch with Lenny. The house is quiet, the only sound the distant hum of the city. Lenny looks over at me, a small smile on his face. "You did it, Sadie. You saved your son. You saved this house. You saved this community." I shake my head. "I didn't save anything, Lenny. God did. I just said yes when he asked me to." Lenny nods. "Well, he chose the right woman for the job." I look up at the stars, the same stars Marcus and I used to watch from this very porch 40 years ago. "Lenny, do you think he's proud of me?" "Marcus?" Lenny doesn't hesitate. "Sadie, he's not just proud, he's rejoicing, because you took the house he built and turned it into a legacy. You took the love he gave you and multiplied it 100-fold. He's proud, sis. I promise you that." I smile, tears rolling down my cheeks. "I miss him." Lenny puts his arm around me. "I know, but he's here, in every beam of this house, in every life you've touched, in Reggie, he's here." We sit in silence, rocking gently, the night wrapping around us like a blanket. The next morning, I wake up early, like I always do. I make coffee, sit at the kitchen table, and read my Bible. The house is still asleep, the mothers and children upstairs resting, the volunteers not yet arrived. It's just me and God. And I pray. I pray for Reggie and Angela, that their marriage will be strong and full of love. I pray for Monique, that she continues to heal and grow. I pray for Clarence and Evelyn, that even in prison they find redemption. I pray for every person who has walked through the doors of Big Sadie's House of Grace, that they find hope and healing. And I pray for myself, that I continue to have the strength to do this work, to love hard, to forgive freely, to live fully. As I finish my prayer, I hear a knock on the door. I open it to find a young woman, maybe 25, with a baby on her hip and a black eye barely hidden by makeup. "Are you Miss Sadie?" she asks, her voice trembling. I nod. "I am, baby. What's your name?" "Kenya. I heard about this place from a friend. She said you help women like me, women with nowhere to go." I open the door wide. "Kenya, you just found somewhere to go. Come in, you're home now." She steps inside, tears streaming down her face, and I close the door behind her. Another life. Another chance. Another story of grace. And as I lead Kenya into the living room, past Marcus's photo, past the signs and the laughter and the hope, I whisper a prayer of thanks. Because this, right here, this is why I fought for this house. Not for the bricks, not for the memories, but for the lives that would be changed within these walls. For the second chances that would be given. For the love that would be poured out, over and over again. This is my legacy. This is Marcus's legacy. This is the legacy of Big Sadie's House of Grace. And as long as I have breath in my body, this door will remain open. To the broken, to the lost, to the hurting, to anyone who needs a place to call home. Because that's what love does. It opens doors. It builds bridges. It heals wounds. And it never ever gives up. So, if you're reading this, if you're watching this, and you're going through something hard, something painful, something that feels impossible, I want you to remember this. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are loved. And no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how lost you feel, there is always a way home. Always. Because love is patient. Love is kind. Love never fails. And that kind of love will always bring you through the door. 10 years have passed since that Thanksgiving. 10 years since the pie hit Marcus's face. Since the empire of lies came crashing down. Since my son came home in the rain. And now, I'm 75 years old, sitting on this same porch, watching the sun rise over Bronzeville. My hair is silver white now, my hands a little slower, my steps a little softer. But my heart is fuller than it's ever been. Big Sadie's House of Grace is thriving. We've helped over 3,000 women and children in the last decade. Mothers who had nowhere to go now have homes. Children who went to bed hungry now have full bellies. Families that were broken are now whole. And it all happened in this house, this old brown brick house on the corner of 43rd and King Drive. The house they called a tent. Reggie pulls up in his truck, the same beat-up Ford he's been driving for 8 years. He hops out, a thermos of coffee in one hand, a bag of donuts in the other. "Morning, Mama." I smile. "Morning, baby." He sits down next to me, hands me a cup of coffee, and we sit in comfortable silence, watching the neighborhood wake up. Reggie never left. After that rainy night, he moved into the small apartment above the garage and has been here ever since. He runs the youth program now, teaching young men carpentry, plumbing, electrical work, real skills that can change their lives. He's mentored over 200 boys, many of them fatherless, all of them hungry for guidance. And he's good at it, not because he's perfect, but because he's been broken and put back together, and he knows what that journey looks like. Angela sits on the other side of me, her hand resting on her growing belly. She's 7 months pregnant with their third child. Their first two, Marcus Jr. and Sadie Marie, are running around the backyard, chasing fireflies even though the sun is barely up. "Miss Sadie, you want some breakfast?" Angela asks, her voice warm and gentle. I shake my head. "Not yet, baby. I'm just enjoying the morning." She smiles and leans her head on my shoulder. This woman, this beautiful, strong, faithful woman, she's been the greatest gift to my son. She keeps him grounded, reminds him of who he is when the world tries to tell him otherwise. And she loves this house, this mission, this community, as much as I do. Lenny walks up the driveway, his Bible tucked under his arm, his pastor's collar slightly crooked. "Morning, family." We all greet him, and he sits on the porch steps, looking out at the street. "Sadie, I got a call yesterday. The city wants to honor you. They want to rename this block Sadie Washington Way." I laugh, shaking my head. "Lenny, I don't need my name on a street sign. This house is my legacy. These people are my legacy." He grins. "I told them you'd say that, but they're doing it anyway. Ceremony's next month." I sigh, but I'm smiling. "Well, I guess I can't stop the city." Reggie chuckles. "Mama, you deserve it. You've given everything to this place." I look at him, my eyes steady. "I didn't give everything, baby. I gave what I had, and God multiplied it. That's how it works." We sit there, the 5 of us, as the sun climbs higher, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. And I think about how far we've come. How much has changed. How much has been restored. Later that morning, I'm in the kitchen, preparing lunch for the women and children who will come through today. Tasha walks in, her daughters now teenagers, both of them thriving. "Miss Sadie, I just wanted to thank you again for everything you did for us." I wave her off. "Baby, you don't need to thank me. You did the hard work. You rebuilt your life." She shakes her head, tears in her eyes. "But I couldn't have done it without you. Without this place, you gave me hope when I had none." I take her hands in mine. "Tasha, hope was always in you. I just helped you see it." She hugs me tight and I hold her, this woman who came to me broken and is now whole. As the day goes on, I move through the center, greeting people, listening to stories, offering hugs and prayers. Kenya, the young woman who showed up at my door 5 years ago with a black eye and a baby, is now one of our lead volunteers. Her son is healthy and happy, and she's studying to be a nurse. Miss Clara, now 87, still teaches the kids how to bake, her hands slower but her spirit still strong. Jerome, the young man who almost joined a gang, is now a contractor, running his own business, and he donates his time to repair things around the center. This is what redemption looks like. Not perfect, not polished, but real. That evening, as the center winds down, I find myself standing in front of Marcus's photo, the one that had pie thrown on it 10 years ago. It's spotless now, shining in the soft light. I reach up and touch the glass, tracing the outline of his face. Marcus, I did it. I kept the promise. I kept the house. I kept our son. I kept the faith. And I swear, I can feel him smiling back at me. Reggie walks up behind me, his hand on my shoulder. You okay, Mama? I nod, wiping a tear from my cheek. I'm more than okay, baby. I'm at peace. He stands beside me, looking at his father's photo. I wish he could see all of this. See what you built. See who I became. I turn to him, my voice strong. Baby, he sees it, every day. And he's proud. So proud. Reggie's eyes fill with tears, and he pulls me into a hug. I love you, Mama. I hold him tight. I love you too, baby. Always. That night, after everyone has gone home and the house is quiet, I sit on the porch one last time. The street is peaceful, the lights from the houses glowing softly in the darkness. I think about the journey, the pain, the betrayal, the loss, but I also think about the restoration, the healing, the second chances, the love that refused to quit. And I realized something. This story was never just about me. It was about every mother who's ever been betrayed by her child and chose to love them anyway. It was about every person who's ever been pushed down and chose to get back up. It was about every family that's been broken and chose to rebuild. It was about grace, the kind of grace that doesn't keep score. The kind of grace that forgives 70 times 7. The kind of grace that says, no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how much you've messed up, you can come home. I stand up, my bones creaking a little, and I walk to the front door. I look back at the porch, at the rocking chairs, at the street, at this corner of 43rd and King Drive that has been my home for 47 years. And I smile. Because this house, this old brown brick house that they called a tent, it's still standing. Not because the bricks are strong, but because the love inside them is unbreakable. I walk inside, turn off the lights, and head to my bedroom. Marcus's sweater still hangs on the hook. His shoes still sit by the closet. His Bible still rests on the nightstand. I climb into bed, pull the covers up, and close my eyes. And I pray one last time. Thank you, Lord, for this house, for this life, for this journey, for teaching me that love is stronger than hate, grace is stronger than bitterness, and character is stronger than money. Thank you for my son, for his redemption, for his restoration, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of it all. I open my eyes and look at Marcus's side of the bed, and I whisper, "Good night, honey. I'll see you soon." The next morning, I wake up to the sound of children laughing. I walk to the window and look out at the backyard. Dozens of kids are playing, their mothers watching from the porch, smiling, free. Reggie is teaching a group of boys how to build a birdhouse. Angela is reading stories to the little ones under a tree. Lenny is grilling burgers, his apron covered in barbecue sauce. And I stand there, watching it all, tears streaming down my face. This is my legacy. Not a mansion, not a fortune, but lives changed, hearts healed, families restored. And as I stand there, I hear Marcus's voice, clear as day, whispering in my ear, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done." I smile, wipe my tears, and head downstairs. Because there's work to do. There are always more people to help, more stories to hear, more grace to give. And as long as I have breath in my body, this door will remain open. To the lost, to the broken, to the hurting, To anyone who needs a place to call home. Because that's what Big Sadie's House of Grace is all about. Second chances. Redemption. Love that never quits. And a door that's always, always open. So, if you're watching this, and you're going through something hard, remember this. No matter how far you've fallen, no matter how much you've lost, no matter how broken you feel, there is always a way home. Always. Because love is patient. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrongs. Love never fails. And that kind of love will always bring you through the door. Money comes and goes. Houses come and go. But character? Character is forever. And that's what will bring you home. So come home. The door is open. And it always will be. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that redemption is always possible, that grace is always available, that love never gives up, then share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below telling me about your journey, your struggle, your comeback. And remember, no matter what you're facing, you're not alone. There's always hope. There's always grace. And there's always a way home. God bless you, and thank you for letting me share my story with you.